Despite Atticus's best efforts, Tom Robinson has been found guilty of raping Mayella Ewell. A devastating blow. Can we hope for an appeal? The next morning, the Finch family wake up to a kitchen table loaded with food. Calpurnia had found it at the back steps that morning. It's a token of thanks from Tom Robinson's community. Even though he lost the case, they truly appreciate Atticus's efforts. It brings Atticus to tears. The children are offered more comfort by Miss Maudie. Not only had she baked them cakes, but she also dishes up some positivity. Atticus may have lost, but he's the only lawyer who could have kept a jury out for so long on a case like this. Believe it or not, that's real progress. Then Bob Ewell causes a big stink. He'd stopped Atticus in town that morning, threatened him, and spat in his face. Ew! All Atticus has to say about it is, "I wish Bob Ewell wouldn't chew tobacco." You mean he's not even mad? Hey team, just a reminder, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It really helps the channel out, and our next upload could be on something taught in your next class. Thanks, and back to the video. According to Miss Stephanie, who saw it all apparently, Atticus simply wiped his face, put his hands in his pockets, and strolled on. While Atticus may be calm, the children are on edge. What if Bob Ewell carries out his threat? How will they survive without Atticus? What if they're forced to live with Aunt Alexandra? This is bad. But let's not panic just yet. Atticus explains that Bob Ewell is just blowing off steam. And if being spat at means Mayella Ewell avoids another beating from Bob, then Atticus can take it. The children decide this is a fair point. But their fear for Tom Robinson's fate remains. If he loses his appeal, he'll go to the chair. Jem firmly believes that the law needs changing. Looks like someone will be following in his father's footsteps. Atticus explains that the issues they're facing run deep. It's not as easy as just rewriting the law. Until people's racist attitudes change, juries will continue to make unjust decisions. Scout and Jem decide that society is just one big headache. People are too petty and prejudiced to get along with each other and live peacefully. No wonder Boo Radley doesn't want to leave his house. Unfortunately for Scout, danger lurks inside her house. Aunt Alexandra's missionary circle is a pastel-coloured minefield. Scout must wear a pink dress and be a lady for a day. Run, Scout! It's a trap! The ladies of the Missionary Society believe they are doing good in the world, and yet their leader, Miss Grace Merriweather, is clearly racist. Her rudeness escalates until Miss Maudie shuts her down. Meanwhile, Scout checked out of the conversation a long time ago. When Atticus arrives home early and pale-faced, Scout senses disaster. He asks to see Calpurnia in the kitchen. Atticus needs Calpurnia's help to tell Helen Robinson some terrible news. Her husband, Tom Robinson, is dead. He was shot while trying to escape from Enfield Prison Farm. While driving Calpurnia out to what's known as the quarters, Atticus picks up Jem and Dill on their way back from swimming. The boys saw what happened next. When Atticus and Calpurnia arrived at the Robinsons' cabin, Helen greeted them and then, seeing their faces, fell down in the dirt. She knew, just by looking at them, that Tom was dead. News of Tom's death was generally received in Maycomb with cruel cynicism. Many believed that it was inevitable for Tom to try and pull a stunt like this, considering his race. The tone shifts when Mr. Underwood publishes an editorial, the Macomb Tribune. He compared the killing of Tom Robinson to the senseless slaughter of songbirds by hunters and children. Scout soon realises Mr. Underwood's meaning. Tom would never have received justice. He was a dead man from the moment Mayella Ewell screamed, "Rape." Meanwhile, Bob Ewell is still on the warpath. Word has gotten through to Scout, via Miss Stephanie, of course, that Bob still craves revenge against Atticus for humiliating him in court. Bob Ewell makes Boo Radley seem like a big old teddy bear. You'd think Scout would have forgotten about Boo after everything that's happened. Think again. By the way, Atticus knew it was the children who narrowly escaped being shot in the dark by Mr. Nathan Radley. Remember when Jem's pants got caught? That was 2 summers ago, and Atticus knew the whole time. He probably figured out that being shot at was punishment enough. But Boo's not a priority right now. Scout is bothered by something at school. Her 3rd grade teacher, Miss Gates, recently taught the class about Adolf Hitler's awful persecution of Jewish people. But something about the lesson seemed to stink. How can Scout take her seriously when she has heard Miss Gates make racist remarks? Just after Tom Robinson's trial, Scout heard Miss Gates say to Miss Stephanie that it's time somebody taught him a lesson. They were getting way above themselves. How can Miss Gates rave on about Hitler one moment and then be ugly towards African American people the next? Scout decides to discuss this with Jem. She seeks his guidance on how to interpret Miss Gates's lesson about Hitler, considering her racist comments at the courthouse. But when Scout mentions the courthouse to Jem, he flies into a rage. He grabs her by the collar and commands her to never, ever mention the courthouse again. Are Scout and Jem starting to drift apart? We hope you enjoyed this Schooling Online production. For more easy lessons, check out our other videos.